Judges Corner is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com and GatheringMagic.com. Support our show by visiting both websites. Now it's time for Judges Corner with David Green.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Judges Corner. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the different types of penalties you can receive under the IPG. If you missed our first episode on the IPG, go ahead and click on the link displayed here. And if you're looking for something a little bit more regular, go ahead and check out our video where we talk about judging it regular for events like game days or FNMs. So without further ado, let's take a look at the different types of penalties. So the first penalty we have is a caution, which is more of a verbal nudge. You don't actually have to use the word caution, and it's good for quick corrections to minor stuff. The next penalty is a warning. It's written out on the back of a match slip and has several upgrade paths based on what type of infraction it's being issued with. The next penalty is a game loss, which is only given out when the infraction has too much potential for abuse or the game can't be repaired or is compromised. The current game ends immediately. If the player lost due to the game loss, they have the option to play or draw first since they lost. And if the game 1 hasn't started yet, then you don't sideboard going into game 2. And finally, all game losses should go through the head judge with the exception of deckless problems or tardiness. And the head judge has the option to delegate the authority of issuing game losses to certain judges if they so feel. The next penalty is a match loss, which is only issued if we feel the match has been compromised, and it's kind of like a game loss, but it ends the entire match right away. And then finally, we have a disqualification, which is only issued when we feel the integrity of the event has been damaged or compromised, or where there is severe unsporting conduct. Prizes aren't awarded unless they already have been given out, and standings are affected, but it won't bump someone into top 8 unless top 8 hasn't started yet. And then finally, if you're DQing someone and they're not enrolled in the event, you enroll them and then disqualify them. This is so that Wizards of the Coast can track that player or that person if they continue to enroll in other events in the future. The next thing I want to talk about are time extensions. We want to give a time extension for any ruling that it takes us more than a minute to resolve or answer. Next is consistency. We want to try to remain very, very consistent between our rulings for each event and follow the IPG as closely as possible so that players don't get a warning at one event and a game loss at another. And it helps keep things very fair and unbiased when we're giving our rulings. And to go in hand with that is we don't want to take into consideration the game state when we're issuing a ruling. It's too easy to overlook something or to miss something that's affecting the game state or to accidentally show favoritism when we're giving a ruling. For example, we get called over because a player missed a Blood Scrivener's replacement effect. And while we're talking to them, we notice that the player is at 1 life. Do we take into consideration that the current game state will end up killing them if we follow the rules correctly? How do we issue the ruling, or what do we do in this particular situation? Well, what we have here is a game rules violation, which is going to receive a warning for the player who missed the replacement effect. And then we're going to try to back things up as much as possible unless too much time has passed or it's too complex to back everything up. We try to fix everything and rewind everything back to just before the event occurred. And if we take the game state into consideration, we may show favoritism for one player or the other, or we may miss something like maybe one of the players played Angel's Grace earlier in the turn. So one of the next things I want to talk about are what happens if multiple infractions occur at the exact same time, such as I'm playing in a game, I ask my buddy for some help on the game, you say, hey, that can't happen, and I go, whatever, Well, here we've got 2 things happening. I'm going to get a game loss for unsporting conduct major, and I'm also going to get a match loss for outside assistance. But what order do we apply them in? Well, when we have multiple infractions that have ranging penalties, we apply them from the most severe to the least severe. So first I'm going to get a match loss for this game, and then I'm going to get a game loss for the next game I play in my next round. And the last thing I want to talk about is what happens if something occurs and it's not covered in the IPG, such as something minor that a player does that's a generally unwanted behavior. Well, when that happens, we're going to give that player a caution, ask them not to do that, and if they persist, we're going to give them a bit of a more stern caution. If they continue after that, well, then we have to upgrade it to unsporting conduct major, and we deal with it based on the way that we handle those particular infractions. So that concludes our episode. If you have any questions, make sure to send us an email at judgescorner@gatheringmagic.com or leave a comment below. And until next time, remember, cards don't kill players, state-based actions do. And until next time, remember, state-based actions kill.
That's right. You totally messed up anyway. He said, make sure you email us at galleymagic@judgescorner.com and stuff like that.
Whatever, okay.
It's okay.